Dakota's pushing it to 5. They win set number 4, 25-23.
Hey Coyote fans, welcome into the Coyote Volleyball Show presented by Scooters Coffee. We're joined by the head coach of the Coyote Volleyball team, Leanne Williamson. Her team coming off of an excellent weekend with a road trip to Green Bay, to the Green Bay Invite with wins over Green Bay, Illinois State, and Central Michigan. Coach, really good weekend for your group. Started last Thursday with a 5-set win, then you got a 4-set win Friday, and then you finish it off with a sweep. The team just kept getting better and better through the weekend.
Yeah, I mean, the weekend was overall a huge success for us, and I think that over the past 3 weeks before that, we just kept learning more and more about ourselves. We were able to work on a lot of things that we felt like we were struggling with, and we knew that those three, even though I don't think their records fully showed it, were still going to be very good teams for us to face, a good challenge each one of those days. The Green Bay one, I was obviously really excited for them to be able to pull that out, but you kind of said it, we just got a little bit better throughout the weekend, and we were really looking forward to hopefully being able to take care of a team, in 3 on that final day. So I was really happy that we had to claw back at times too and find a way to pull it out.
Well, you look at what your team did this weekend, and you haven't been able to quite put together that type of weekend yet. How important was that as you get ready for conference play?
Yeah, I think the timing is perfect for us. It was kind of that last opportunity for us to work through some of the, the cobwebs or the, figuring things out as a team. And, the thing that we have to keep remembering, we have to keep reminding our team as well, is volleyball is a game of errors, So as much as we would like to play the perfect game, as much as we would like to be as clean as possible, it's not going to happen, and I think even game by game you can see the ups and downs of it, but I felt like our team handled it better. We talk about handling the ebbs and flows, and I thought we stayed patient. We didn't freak out, we didn't have those panic attacks, and I think with that we were able to either take control early on in the game or come back at the end, because again it didn't scare us, maybe is the better way to put it, when we were down late in a game at times.
Not panicking and some of that really is a product of probably 2 things, growth and confidence, which are very important.
Huge. We've talked a lot about just the fact that we have people in different roles. We have people that are stepping up in some different positions, that are taking more swings, having to pass more balls. We have a freshman setter getting her hands on the ball on every play. And I think with that the experience that we have now gained over the past 4 to 5 weeks against other people is really where I think the main part of it comes from. But seeing yourself have success is important too. And we have seen ourselves have success against some really good programs, even through some of the losses. But then obviously you find ways to win in some of those moments, even going back to South Florida and being down big in the 5th set and seeing ourselves claw back and being able to find a way. I think confidence grows in those moments. And, we've been there, done that in a way. And we just have experiences that we can rely on, that we can talk about, and that we can get better through, even in moments that maybe are weeks later.
Kylen Sealock will join us here on the Coyote Volleyball Show. She's coming off of a solid weekend, double-digit kills in all of her matches. That's one player that feels like has continued to really grow this season.
Yeah, and her and I have had a lot of different conversations about it, of just continuing to learn is really what it comes down to. But, that first night against Green Bay, she did have double-digit kills, but she also had quite a few errors from what she would have liked to have. But she learned from it and got better on those next 2 days. And that's really all we can ask, is just that when we're not at our best, again, we find ways to win, and I love that we can learn through some of those wins. But I think she learned from those moments and made herself a better player in a lot of ways in those next 2 days, and was a huge part of our success.
We've talked multiple times about just continuing to adjust the setter to the hitter timing, and some of that continues to get better. It seems like a lot of work is going into it.
Yeah, I think it's remarkably better, from where we first started. And I actually thought we were at a pretty good spot early on in the season, just compared to what we've seen in the past. But I think with that trusting the process, of the setter-hitter connection, I think Avery continues to just get more confident with the different changes that she has to make depending on where she is on the floor or what happened within the play. But I also think our hitters are adjusting better, and I think it's easy to, again, want that perfection, but it's not a perfect game. There's a lot of there's a big circle that you can get into, and I think with that, we're just handling that a lot better.
The sweep came on Saturday, the third match in 3 consecutive days. How important was that for your team to get out there and find a way to win that and shorten that match as much as possible as you get ready now for conference play?
Yeah, I think it again builds a lot of confidence. Central Michigan had played some really good volleyball over the weekend, and in fact, we had just watched them sweep Green Bay the night before, and we knew that they were going to present some different challenges that we haven't necessarily seen in some of our other opponents. And I think with that, our team handled that really well, and that's important to be able to make those adjustments on the fly. We're playing one night and we're playing the next morning, so there's a quick turnaround. It's a pretty short time to learn a scouting report. But I felt like they handled that really well. And again, it just continues to build confidence with this team of what we're able to do when we're all working together.
I know you've stayed patient with this group, and you've continued to say you're getting better. You're seeing things that are getting better in practices and in matches, and hasn't always shown maybe in the final result, but now 5 straight wins for this group. How close is this team to where you thought it could be?
I think we're definitely a lot closer, to where I thought we could be at this point in time in the season. And it's hard. It's hard to stay patient. I know it's hard for our players to stay patient. As a coach, it's hard because you want the team to have the success that you believe they can and should. So that can be hard. But I think there's just that daily reminder of trusting the process, that daily reminder of, we're going to be a little bit better today. And again, to be able to look back and see week by week the improvements and the adjustments and the changes that this team has made, I think reminds us that patience is key at times. But I feel good with how we scheduled. I feel good with the teams that we had to play, and honestly, I feel good with some of the ups and downs that we had to go through, because I think we're a lot more prepared for what that's going to look like in conference play, because we're bound to see that there too.
Conference play starts this upcoming week. When we come back, we will talk to Kylen Sealock. She'll join us here on the Coyote Volleyball Show. Also coming up, Coach Williamson rejoins us. We'll preview the Summit League match coming up on Saturday and just the start of Summit League play. This is the Coyote Volleyball Show presented by Scooters Coffee.
The Coyote Volleyball Show is brought to you by Scooters Coffee. Scooters Coffee. Amazing drinks, amazing people, amazingly fast.
Welcome back into the Coyote Volleyball Show presented by Scooters Coffee. We're joined this week by Kylen Sealock, the outside hitter from Lincoln, Nebraska, coming off of an excellent road trip to Green Bay. 3 matches, 3 victories for the Yotes. You look back at the weekend, a lot of things went well, obviously, for your team. How fun was this past weekend?
It was great. It was great to be able to compete with those teams and to come back with 3 wins before we start conference. It's looking good.
You had double-digit kills in all 3 of those matches, and you've continued to increase your production for this team. What have you worked on to continue to improve yourself and find a role helping this team?
I think the whole team has brought up the level of competition, and I think that's what's been fun. But having my teammates around me working hard, too, has just been pushing me to see what else I can do on the court as well.
What have you seen out of the growth of this team the last several matches? Obviously, this team right now on a win streak, and things are feeling good. Where's the growth been in this group?
I think after these wins especially, I think we have a lot more confidence in each other on the court while we're playing, and the level or the amount of communication that we have on the court has also gone up, so I think that's been really good.
You get off to the start of the season, you knew it was a challenging schedule. Your coaches do that intentionally to give you some quality opponents early on. It got off to a tough start. What was the message for this group to just hang together knowing it's a long season?
We knew we were going to play some good teams, but we knew that we were going to be able to compete as well. So I think just playing our volleyball and holding ourselves to our standard was what we were trying to accomplish.
You're not the only one on this team that has seen your role increase and have to have that production. What have you seen out of some of your other teammates who have seen their roles increase this season as well as they continue to grow?
I think everyone has picked up bigger, or not everyone, but a few people have picked up some bigger roles, and I think they've done a really good job instilling confidence in the other people who are on the court, and I think you can see the confidence in them has gotten a lot better as well. But their level of communication and just working with them on the court, you can tell they're more comfortable out there.
Being a part of this team that had so much success last year, how much does that continue to motivate you and your teammates for knowing what your goals are and how much fun that is to accomplish those goals?
I think every year we try to look forward a little bit and just use that as motivation, the dog pile at the end of the season, we try to get the freshmen on board and try to explain to them how it feels. But I think it is a lot of motivation for us, yeah.
You get ready for conference play this week, and only one match this week. That feels a little bit different. Do you like the idea of only one match this week?
I do, yeah. We have a lot more time to recover and get ready for it, for sure.
What's more challenging? Is it the 3 consecutive days of matches? Is it 2 matches in a single day? What do you find more challenging?
I think it is challenging to have more than one match in a day, but 3 in 2 days or 3 in 3 days is also still challenging just to be able to recover and still compete at a high level.
What kind of work goes into it for your team? Obviously, the coaches are always working hard, but for your team to quickly try to figure out a new team when you're playing in consecutive days?
Just staying present and just working with what we have and just competing with just competing. Yeah.
What excites you about what's coming up with the Summit League season and what this team can be?
I think we're all excited to get into conference and to see what the teams look like this year. I mean, I think a lot of teams are going to be looking a lot different with the players that they have on the roster this year. So just excited to see what there is out there.
You're on the road this week, but you're back home next week for a couple of conference matches. When you look ahead to that and you see more and more fans coming in to support this team, for those who haven't quite made it to a match yet, what would you tell them to come see this team in action?
I think it'll be really fun for our fans. It's always a great environment to be in at home, and I think that the fans really get into it. So the more fans we have, the better the environment. It's going to be great.
All right. Well, good luck the rest of the season.
Thanks.
All right, that's Kylen Sealock joining us here on the Coyote Volleyball Show. When we come back, head coach Leanne Williamson rejoins us, and we'll talk about what's to come as the Coyotes open up Summit League play. This is the Coyote Volleyball Show presented by Scooters Coffee.
The Coyote Volleyball Show is brought to you by Scooters Coffee. Scooters Coffee. Amazing drinks, amazing people, amazingly fast.
Coyote Volleyball team is set to begin Summit League play. We're back in the Coyote Volleyball Show presented by Scooters Coffee, joined by the head coach of the Coyotes, Leanne Williamson. Coach, we talk about just your team adjusting and now getting into conference play. You've gone through a handful of matches in the non-conference. I know you've made adjustments throughout your lineup. As you get to conference play, you still adjusting that lineup, or does it kind of settle into a rotation?
You know, I'd love to see at some point in time it settle in a little bit, but at the same time, we have depth on our team. You know, we have multiple people that can do some really good things, and I even think there's a few people that haven't had a ton of playing time, but that continue to get better every single day in practice, which is exactly what we want to see right now. So, you know, I think we're still going to, you know, trust our depth, but, you know, we've made some adjustments that I think has really worked for us, and some of those people have really stepped up. So, you know, we'd love to obviously see them continue to have that success.
You start Summit League play with just one match on the schedule this week, and for those people who aren't as close to it, I know we learn to appreciate those one game, one match weeks for body recovery time, for preparation time, for family time, all of that very important. But one match this week, I don't know for your team, that's got to feel good.
Yeah, and honestly, we don't have anything major right now, but we do have a few of the nagging injuries, and I think being able to, you know, rest some people this week and honestly give some of our players that maybe haven't seen the court as much more practice time, I think will be really beneficial for us across the board. So definitely looking forward to being able to take advantage of this week, really focus on us early on, make the transition into focusing a little bit more on Omaha, but I also like the idea that we get to just focus on one opponent. You know, we don't have to worry about what's next, you know, what that next match is, even though we try really hard not to anyway. But I think being able to kind of focus on just Omaha, I think is going to be good for this team.
You know, it's been a schedule of you play on a Sunday and you either travel on Wednesday or you're playing again on Thursday. That's kind of been your schedule. Now with the match on Saturday night, do you adjust the week leading up to that match? That's just like the practice schedule and some of that. How much of that changes?
Yeah, for sure. I think every week is a little bit different for us. You know, with us having this whole week, you know, we're going to practice today, but we're going to take off of volleyball tomorrow. We're actually going to go up to Ronald McDonald House in Sioux Falls and volunteer as a team, which we've always very much enjoyed doing in the fall, and then get to practice again Wednesday, Thursday, Friday leading up to it. So, you know, we adjust a little bit. We've got a few people that'll be a little bit more limited throughout the week, just depending on how they're feeling, but we'll kind of work on ramping up towards the end of the week so that we're fully prepared.
prepare for Omaha now. That's obviously your first matchup of the Summit League season. What do you know about Omaha and expect to see from them on Saturday night?
Well, I mean, I think this is going to be a pretty normal answer from me when you ask me as we go forward throughout the season. But there's some key players that returned, and then they're very new in some areas as well. So very similar to us, very similar to many of the other teams in conference. So, we've got a couple that we know, what to expect and how we've game planned for them in the past. And we've got some new players that we've got to be able to study, scout, and figure out how to best put our team in the best situation. But they're going to be good. They're scrappy. They've played a really, really, really hard schedule. So, again, their record doesn't necessarily show, I think, how good they can be and how good they are. But a matchup with Omaha always proves to be, one, a lot of fun, two, a very defensive mindset, in terms of both sides of the court playing defense at a high level. So it's going to be a battle there. And then they've got a couple players that I think can really take over a match. So we've got to be prepared for that. But we also feel like we have that on our side of the net as well.
The matchup is set for Saturday night. I got to ask, do you like the night matchups? Do you prefer day matchups? A lot of coaches are different.
Well, for Omaha and us, we've actually talked about that if we play on a Saturday, that we would both be willing to play Saturday night. I just think that being able to make it more of a key matchup, kind of that prime time game, I think is really good for the sport, and I think because our matchups have always been so good and so intense, I think it should prove to be another good match, but hopefully we get a good crowd too, and honestly, that's what we want. We want to play in good environments, and we want to help the sport continue to grow, and we've obviously seen that a lot throughout the fall, so when Omaha approached me about playing at night, I was all for it.
You know that obviously all the teams in the Summit League, they've played different non-conference schedules, and it's hard to kind of, measure up how those teams are. And you'll learn more about these teams as you continue to watch them closely. But from what you've been able to watch from a distance, what do you make of the Summit League right now in volleyball as they've gone through the non-conference?
Well, I think there's some teams, that have maybe had a little bit of a smoother preseason, and then there's some, and I would say actually a good amount of them that are a little bit more like us, where we've had to work through things. And I mentioned it earlier, but I feel like every team has some key returners back, but then they have a lot of new faces, and with those new faces comes some challenges, and the ebbs and flows of a match, of a season. So I think as a whole, I think the league, a lot of them went through the same things that we did, and I think what's great about it, though, is starting conference, everyone starts 0-0, so we get to focus on going 1-0 every day, but I would expect some really high-level volleyball being played across the league.
What do you need to continue to see out of your team this week as they prepare for the Summit League and try to chase down those goals they've set for themselves?
Yeah, I think one, we've got to be able to handle the in-conference matches well, and continue to play with confidence. And, I think we saw a struggle actually with that a little bit going from Kansas, an exhibition, going into our actual first match of the season with Iowa State. And I think we've worked through a lot of that. But, again, that conference season, it just is a little bit different. And it's a good thing, that's why it's so hard to be able to come out on top. And I'm excited to see how this team handles it. But beyond that, I think what the other part that's going to be fun is these teams know us. They're not going to be surprised by anything that we do. But at the same time, it'll be a good challenge for us to figure out, okay, how do we combat what they're trying to do against us as well?
Well, the Summit League season is upon us. The Coyotes have won 5 straight. Hoping to keep that going this week when they open up Summit League play in Omaha. Coach, thanks for the time. Appreciate it as always. Good luck this week.
Thank you.
That's Leanne Williamson, the head volleyball coach at the University of South Dakota. Thanks to Coach Williamson and Kylen Sealock for joining us here for this episode of the Coyote Volleyball Show. I'm John Thayer. Have a great rest of your week. We'll talk about it again next week as the Coyotes then return home for Summit League play. This has been the Coyote Volleyball Show presented by Scooters Coffee.
The Coyote Volleyball Show is brought to you by Scooters Coffee. Scooters Coffee. Amazing drinks, amazing people, amazingly fast.